Now, students around the world are, or at least should be, doing some last-minute cramming ahead of this Saturday's SAT exam to get into US colleges. But many here in Asia are poring over old tests in the hopes that they may again be reused after some students discovered they were given the same exam as a previous year. But how many students from Asia actually managed to pass the exam and get onto a course? Well, last year, 150,000 students from China and South Korea were enrolled in US colleges. That's 40% of all international undergraduates in the United States, and it's continuing to grow. The number of Chinese undergrads in US colleges has gone up by 18% from the previous year. Well, with me now is Nagitha Kumarasinghe. He's the co-founder of Prep Zone, Singapore's biggest test prep company, who's very familiar with SAT exam patterns and preparation trends. Welcome to the program. So, Asian students studying old tests doesn't sound terribly controversial. So, explain why this is.
Well, you're right. There's nothing controversial around studying old tests. The controversy comes from old questions actually repeating on the new test. So recently, the test that happened in January, there was a repeat of the June test from last year. So that gave, obviously, those who saw that test an unfair advantage over the rest of the world.
Right. So does this perhaps suggest that many students here in Asia who are doing this shouldn't really belong in US colleges because they're memorizing? They're not actually learning, are they?
Well, I think it's a question of an Eastern test preparation technique hitting the West. Because ultimately, preparing extensively for tests is nothing new in this part of the world. So all that has happened is they've zeroed in on the SAT now because a lot of the top students want to go and study in the US.
Right. And how widespread a problem is this, and why is it specifically being an accusation that's targeted at Asian students?
Well, I think that there are companies in Asia that encourage this behavior. They scour the net for live questions that might be released by students who've done the test. They might even send their own staff to do the test and remember and memorize questions. Right. So it's definitely symptomatic of this part of the world. But I wouldn't say it should taint all the hard work done by lots of honest Asian students who've done their SATs.
Right, of course, who are probably working very hard this weekend. But what's the solution, do you think? And what's your tuition centre doing to try to counteract this?
Right, the solution really is to not repeat questions in future tests. It's a simple thing that can be done, and it will eradicate, half the problem. But in our center, what we really focus on is working on the fundamentals. And we do go through past papers, but only the past papers actually released by the College Board, who are the administrators of the test.
Right, so you're saying you actually use these old
test definitely.
As well?
Yes, but it's not the old test papers. There are sets that are actually released by the creators of the test, and sets that are available online, which in theory have not been authorized as past papers to be used.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us there about this. And of course, good luck to all those honor students who are indeed